Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm setting up all the budgeting pages in my new bullet journal, and also I'm going to go through how I'm planning to use all these trackers. I personally love budgeting, and I admit that my system might feel kinda intense, so if you don't like to track every single purchase you make, this might not be the video for you. So I like to start my budget planning from my monthly expenses, and if you have seen my other bullet journal videos, I usually have 4 different categories that I track, and those categories are house and food, beauty and health, entertainment and extra. And these are just categories that suit my needs the best, but you could separate these into their own categories or come up with some new ones, because these are really personal and depend a lot on your spending habits. On these monthly expense boxes, I'll budget for all the things that I know I'm going to spend on at least once a month, but there are a lot of things that I buy only a few times a year, so these yearly expense boxes could be for their budget. On the left side, I'm doing a yearly budget balance. I didn't really know what to call this, but when I have budgeted for my monthly and yearly expenses, I like to come up with a number of how much money I'm planning to use this whole year. Well, I'm going to budget only for 6 months because I'll use this journal from July till December, but if you have a whole year in one notebook, you would put all the months here. So here I will write down how much money I have left from my yearly budget each month, and I will subtract my expenses from that amount, and in the end of the year I'm going to see if I went over budget or not. Next, I'm doing an expense tracker for each month, and in these trackers I'm going to track how much money I'm spending in each category in 1 week. And I decided to do this like a Dutch door thing, so that each month has its own flap, and this way I'm always able to see my yearly budget balance and also my savings tracker that I'm doing on the right side. So here I have the same categories as before, and I also included an income tracker. This is something that everyone might not need, but for someone like me that has a lot of different income streams, it can be helpful to track a weekly and also monthly income. So I just draw these bars for all the categories, and then I wrote down all the weeks that are in July. And for example, in July, the last week only has 5 days, but I will still include that in this flap, but the same week is also going to be on my August flap for the 2 days that are on the first week of August, if that makes any sense. Finally, I added the overall income and expenses, and also which amount is going to my savings. And the same thing I did for all the months, I just changed the week numbers. And as I mentioned, on the right side of these monthly trackers, I'll have my savings. I'm currently putting money aside for a new iPad and a house, but then I also like to have an emergency fund, for example, if I had to take my cat to see a vet or something. And then I also did this extra savings bar if I want to buy something and decide to take the money from my savings. The iPad bar I do a bit smaller than the others because I know the exact amount that I need, but for the others I really don't have a specific number. Next, let's see how I'm going to use all these trackers. So first I will write down all the expenses that I have at least once a month and what is my budget for those expenses. So in my house and food category I'd have things like rent, phone and groceries. For the beauty and health category I will write things like cosmetics and vitamins. Then in entertainment I have Netflix, movies and stationery. And then in the extra I'll have some miscellaneous things. And these are just some examples that I came up with. I obviously have a lot more expenses in a month. When I have budgeted for 1 month, I'll count the total monthly budget and move on to my yearly budget. The first thing that I'm writing here is my monthly budget times 6, since this is my budget for 6 months. Then I will write here other expenses that I might not have every month, like clothes and traveling. And I think it's really important to spend some time to figure this out and really consider the things you spend on so that your budget is realistic. When I'm ready with my yearly budget, it's time to start tracking my actual spending. This is my monthly expense tracker for July, and here I have all the same categories that I've had throughout this video. So here I will write down all my expenses, and if one of the expenses is a yearly expense, I usually mark it with a star so that I know not to add it to my monthly expenses. Every week, usually on Sundays, I will fill the weekly spending to the trackers I've created in this video. The bars for the different categories I drew so that they are exactly 10 dot grid spaces, so that one space is 10% of the budget for that category. And I thought that would be a more visual way to see where you are regarding your budget. And in the end of the month, I will add all my monthly and yearly expenses together and see how much money I'm able to put to my savings. And finally, the last thing I'll do is that I will update my yearly budget balance so that it shows me how much I have left from my yearly budget. And that is how I manage my finances in my bullet journal. If any part of this video felt unclear, you can always ask me in the comments and I will try to answer as well as I can. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!